And a little bit earlier this morning, this was the start of the men's UCI Elite batch, leaving the Huguenot High School in Wellington for this final stage, 68 kilometers to Val de Vie. It is a tough stage with 2,000 meters of unrelenting climbing. Plenty of work for these riders to do. The pressure immediately applied at the front. There'll be riders and teams here chasing glory on the final day after what might have been for them some disappointing performance through the week. Winning the grand finale can really make up for some disappointments during the week, and immediately it's strung out on the front with the main contenders, most of them the men we've seen through the week, setting the pace early on. Wellington was the host for 3 nights at the Absa Cape Epic, this with 39 kilometers. A little bit earlier this morning, it was evident that Manuel Fumic was starting to take strain. The Cannondale Factory Racing German champion, he and Henrik Avancini had won 2 stages and worn the yellow jersey for a couple of days, but ultimately the week's stresses and strains were taking a toll on the German. Avancini dropping back to assist him. The pace was being applied and the pressure applied by Investec Songo Specialized, and it fractured that lead group, leaving Avancini and Fumic to try and play catch up. Avancini, the Brazilian, has been rock solid all week. He's perhaps been the stronger of the two, and he managed to drag his partner back to join this group, which was the Canyon Topeak pair of Jeremiah Bishop and Eric Kleinhans riding in support of the Canyon Topeak leading team. And then a bit of drama here. Down goes Fumic, and taking down with him Jeremiah Bishop of Canyon Topeak. Well, Fumic was all right, but I'm afraid Jeremiah Bishop went down a lot harder than the German. The American suffering here, no question about it. He took a serious knock. What happened there? Well, Raza, when he won his 5th title, he rode with Kolhavi last year, and he's sitting alongside us this year. Thanks very much, Christoph Sauser, the 5-time champion, for joining us. Christoph?
Yes, I had an absolute pleasure watching the guys racing on TV. So I hope you at home, if it's on your Wi-Fi device or now live on TV.
Well, targeting this stage in particular to win, and maybe backing off in the first couple of or the stages preceding this. Then of course there's the race for overall GC, and none of the riders would even let up for a second to let anyone go ahead. So the racing is pretty frantic with some new players in the mix there.
Well, Avancini and Fumic here trying to drag themselves back here. Avancini just sitting behind and obviously struggling. Manuel Fumic, you had that crash a little bit earlier today.
Now we just got some time. The riders came through that time check. That's at the water point. It's the 47.5 kilometer mark. Canyon Topeak, Investec Songo Specialized, Buff Scott and Trek Salison Marcos, Fabian Rabensteiner and Michele Casagrande.
Well, it's been a remarkable week from the Investec Songo Specialized combination, and they've only won 2 stages. Of course, Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer won 2 stages, including the prologue. And there they come. This is the second of the Buff Scott teams come through with Robach and Gesmeyer. And Gesmeyer's been so strong all week. Robach, perhaps, as the week has progressed, has got a little bit weaker.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see the team dynamic between the riders, and we would normally have pegged Daniel Gesmeyer and Nicola Robach as a pretty equal partnership, but they were over a minute behind off Investec Songo Specialized, so it looks unlikely for them to win the stage. They'll be looking very much towards just consolidating their podium position.
They're riding up now a smaller climb here, and then it goes flattish but quite rugged towards the Bone Rattler, the last obstacle of today.
And that last obstacle of the day has been really something that we've been speaking about all week, running into the grand finale at Val de Vie. This is quite an unusual stage in history. We've seen the Absa Cape Epic seeing a slightly easier day in the last day in the grand finale, which opens up the stage to maybe some more riders. Not in this case. It is a full-blown, hardcore Absa Cape Epic stage.
All relative, of course. These trails, they're battling away with the loose rocks and the rough terrain, and that's what makes this Absa Cape Epic such a challenge. Right to the last day, you'll be put to test, and we are watching the elite riders here. Of course, there are thousands behind who are going to be battling their way towards the finish line to earn a very coveted and cherished finisher's medal at Val de Vie. So you may be asking, what of Carl Platt, the former champion, 5-time winner here, of course, in Roos Huber. Unfortunately, they haven't had the week they were hoping for, and they're swinging just on the cusp of the top 10 of the race. One of the South African teams, of course, Julian Jessup and Matthijs Bierkes are the leaders in the South Africa jersey competition. Early on from Investec Songo Specialized, who tried to drive it. They took a few teams with them, and it just shattered that lead group very, very early on.
On their right side, they actually can see the finish, but they really have to do that extra loop. For them, if you feel good, it's fine. But I think for some of the back markers, it's gonna be a real struggle still.
It's one of the cruelest things in sport is getting around towards the finish, and you can see the finish, but your device tells you you've got another 8-10 kilometers to go and a few climbs. It can be so demoralizing. But for all these riders, I believe the back of the field, our hyenas, Rich McMartin and Rob Vogel, are riding with the very back of the field. They said the spirit out there right now is just amazing. There's a absolutely
perfect for today's race. You also see they're super clean. The bikes are super clean. The chain, it's just perfect, absolutely perfect conditions to race.
This is Michele Casagrande on the front, Fabian Rabensteiner behind him. And both have done that Brazil ride and did pretty well there as well.
Yes, it's a very, very good race. It's, as I mentioned, actually the course is harder, the competition obviously way less, and that's what actually matters for the pro. What to have a hard or not hard race. It's much more the competition than the course.
We just saw. Sorry to interrupt. We just saw Howard Grotz there struggling in the sand. It's been his nemesis this week. If he's had shown any weakness whatsoever, which has not been a lot, has been the sandy sections.
I do believe adding a stage race at the end of the year keeps your shape a little bit longer going. You won't have to train so early already in November, and your body just remembers again, especially towards the end of Absa Cape Epic. You know how to recover, how to activate your body. I think a Brazil ride at the end of the year is a good plan for the Absa Cape Epic.
Look at Lecata wrestling with his bike there. On his tail is Christian Hein. You don't get the appreciation of just how steep this is from this angle. You saw from the riders how difficult it is, and the way they bent double there. Back of Howard Grotz, and Christian Heineck is battling away behind him.
Those two teams who are off now, they have to be back on the wheels of the other two leading teams. All these the two leading teams are so strong on the flat, and they will never come back, even if it's 10-15 seconds.
That's always the dynamic with Jaroslav Kulhavy in the race. If you've missed that train, we call him the Czech Express.
Down here. Incredible scenes from the grand finale of the Absa Cape Epic as we bring it to you live from the Drakenstein municipality, the Berg Valley, and ultimately the finish at Val de Vie.
Well, most importantly for Trek Salasamaka, they have regained contact, and Christoph Sauser, his predictions were right, and we just got to hope that if we want an exciting sprint, a 3-up sprint with the teams, that Canyon Topic join too.
Last year it's been very, very challenging towards Val de Vie on the flat. It was very sandy.
Accelerate and get away from Investec Songo Specialized. They have it all in hand now. Oh, here's trouble. This is Fumic and Avancini. Well, their pursuit of Canyon Topic. Well, we saw Canyon with a problem. Now it is Cannondale Factory Racing.
A truly bad day for this pair. They had such great days in yellow. We've seen them really animate the race, and it's such a shame to see it all slip away with the flat. We did say that this is a really tricky descent, and the team would be fully aware of this. They know the risks. When they descend very fast, they would have been running scared. They would be caught behind.
Victory here in this final stage. They'll share a bit of work here, do a bit of drafting, and drag all the way along this nice smooth piece of tar. Every little second for them will count. They know the danger behind them. They know that Jaroslav Kulhavý would have it in him if he has them in their sights, if he wanted to turn on those afterburners.
It's very nice to see that Jack Sellers and Marco doing well this year, and they're so committed to the Absa Cape Epic. They're not afraid to spend huge expenses to come here with two teams. It's already
Any chances?
Head down and to the finish is what it's about for Casagrande and Ravensteiner, putting the cap on a very creditable week for this pair. Ferraro and Poro, perhaps not quite as successful. They have finished
win the two hard in the past, and I'm sure they will never forget this moment, and they're just enjoying it now.
It's a really good way to finish a stage when you are in the lead and don't have to scrap it out for a sprint. You can salute and smile and wave all the way to the finish line.
Coming into Val de Vie and the finish of the grand finale, the final stage of the 2018 Absa Cape Epic. Your winners of the stage, Fabian Ravensteiner and Michele Casagrande of Trek Celis and Marco 2. They've done a fantastic job on this final stage. They'll be delighted with their achievement. Come through with 2 stage wins through the week. A little wave from Howard Grotz, his first Absa Cape Epic victory alongside the Czech Express Jaroslav Kulhavý and Howard Grotz of Investec Songo Specialized, the winners of the 2018 Absa Cape Epic, second on the day, but first for the week. A remarkable performance by 2 fantastic bike riders. Well, really has been a superb week, and well, you felt that champagne before, Christoph Sauser, and a man
and just coming onto the asphalt, then they knew they have it.
And taking third on the day and cementing their place in second place overall, Canyon Topik on the right, Alban Lecarte, the world marathon champion, and Christian Heineck. They'll be very pleased with this. They were looking for the win. It wasn't going to be. I think they realized that later on in the week, but they have
Animator and fantastic character. Got a 5-time winner in here, previous champion Urs Huber as well. 5-time winner was Carl Platt. Burrito, as he's known, has been finishing in the
Rodriguez. They're in their second Absa Cape Epic, with Urs Huber on the front driving this little train. Hamida behind, Rodriguez, off he goes. So they want to take 4th place here. I don't think Fumic and Avancini are too worried about it, but the little sprint for the line here, Huber goes. It's going to be the second rider across the line, Hamida in his familiar style, and they will take the little sprint there. Carl Platt not up for the sprint, and Fumic and Avancini roll in behind them. Look at the legacy of that crash he had earlier in the day for Manuel Fumic. It's been a tough day for Canadel Factory Racing. They lose second, they go down to 3rd place, but they've been fantastic animators of the race and characters of the race throughout at the sharp end. Let's go down. And of course, you've got some pretty handy riders there, so we look at the general classification. So at least the stage 7 results, Ravensteiner and Casagrande, Kulhavý